And focus your mind to this bell sound and follow the sound, please. And while you're following the sound, let your body and your mind and breathing to settle down itself. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. So, dear Dhamma friends, before we start our session, I will give some guidelines and it will help for you while you practice. So, when it comes to meditation, remember this is the moment that you're going to completely become relaxed and allow yourself to settle down itself. So here don't try to do anything. So this is the moment you try not to do anything. Because in day-to-day life, always we addicted to doing things. And here, when you focus your mind to inhalation, exhalation, and try to not to think of it, or not to comment, or not to argue, or not to have inner conversation yourself regarding the inhalation, exhalation. So bring your fully attention and stay with the sensation. And when it comes to the awareness, your mind itself has the very nature to be aware. That is the very nature of the mind. So practicing meditation means you bring your mind to its original form. You're trying to get into its natural form. What happened in the journey of this life, because of a lot of other informations, mostly we kind of like lost our awareness with unnecessary information. So then this is the moment you're going to get your, it's kind of like your mental birthrights. So going to its original form is the most beautiful thing if you can do. So then in the beginning, just remember yourself, you cannot do this by force. You cannot do this kind of like punishing yourself to your mind or your body. So the very first thing, you have to be comfortable and not too comfort, because our mind and the body has its own nature, very easily go with the the feelings or the sensations, whatever related with our past. So then you have to be very careful, and at the same time, you have to allow your mind to be completely free. And also you should know what you do. So Buddha is not Buddha never taught kind of like a way there is enlightenment, go and find it. Buddha always meant show us the path. So that is the important thing. So then when you walk in that path, yourself, you have to remember, don't try to bring your previous thoughts. Because if your previous thought able to find the wisdom, you should find it already. Because that thoughts used to be with you. But it didn't happen. So that's why you practicing this. So then don't interfere with your thoughts to this moment. Another thing is, there is nothing, any kind of the mantra or any kind of secrets, words or anything you're going to do. You're going to observe your inhalation, exhalation. That is the very nature of your body. So when you observe the inhalation, exhalation, just get into, without doing anything, just try to observe and recognize. Because the recognition is the recognizing, and understanding is the very nature of mind. So allow it to happen. Rather than interfering with thoughts, allow your mind to recognize. Because when the mind able to recognize itself, mind has a way to understand without thoughts. And sometimes to express with somebody regarding our understanding, we need some thoughts. But other than to yourself to understand something, you no need thoughts. Very moment of experience itself bring you the understanding. So as example, when you take a little bit sugar and if you put it to your tongue, right away you feel the taste. In between that feelings or the sensation and the mind, there is no thinking part. So the direct perception brings you the understanding. So same thing happening always with us. But what is happening mostly, even though we don't see, our mental formations, or the which we call sanskara, our mental formations always interfere with our experience or the perceptions. So then what you have to do, when slowly you have to detach your mental formations or your thoughts from the experience and allow that experience to happen itself. And when the mind able to recognize that itself bring the understanding about it. So that is what in the tranquility state we're going to do. So when the tranquility state, it will help us to calm down our mind, because our mind is always go here and there. It's like we, as example, we call like a monkey mind. So as you know, the very nature of the monkey, it's not the monkey that you see in the zoo. And in the city, you don't see the real monkey. You have to go to the forest to see the very nature of the monkey. And when even that the monkeys come to a tree and they destroy everything. Just imagine they come to a mango tree and eat one mango half and then throw it and jump to other mango and take it and break the branch and destroy whole tree. That's the very nature of it. So our mind also same kind of like that. And little bit here, then jump to something else, and then jump to something else. So like that. it has a very wild behavior. So what we does? We try to taming the mind. So when it comes to that, the very important thing, remember always, you have to have the compassion. By pause, with anger, with kind of like pushing too much, you cannot do this. So then the very first thing you have to remember, you do this for your own good. Another thing is, this is the best that you can do as a human being. Even you reach to the most highest level of in this conventional environment, there's nothing you can settle down and you can be satisfied. Even there after this all, and you come to practice little bit meditation and looking for calmness and looking for comfort, relax. And as you know, all the millionaires today, everybody get into this meditation. So then you remember yourself, this is the best that you can do to you, and with the compassion you have to do it. With not to punish yourself. Don't think this is kind of like a punishment. And so with that, you get into the meditation, and then we give a mental object, inhalation, exhalation, and you observe the sensation of the inhalation, exhalation. So remember, don't try to do it as an exercise. Don't try to maintain inhalation, exhalation. Don't try to count. Don't try to hold it like pranayama. Allow your inhalation, exhalation to happen naturally itself. Keep it its organic way. So when the inhalation happens, in front of your nose and your upper lip area, there is a sensation arise. So it always happens, and sometimes you cannot see it. There are reasons, and sometimes because of your posture. So then if you can't see the sensation, for just a little bit, adjust your posture and see how you adjust your posture, moving your upper body little bit back and forth, and your head little bit maybe up and down, and find the right place and then stay there. So then from that place, follow the sensation. When the sensation happens, recognize this as inhalation. Through the sensation, recognize this as exhalation. And sometimes you don't feel sensation, inhalation or exhalation. Don't worry. Don't try to think what happened. Oh, where are this breath? No. See, that is interfering in it. If you don't see, just wait. Learn to wait and observe. Observe. Because sometimes when the mind is busy, that way also you're not going to see. So little by little, and you start to recognize and feel the sensation. So sometimes it's a little bit rough, and sometimes it becomes very sharp. So it is okay. Somehow when you feel the sensation, recognize and follow. This is inhalation, this is exhalation. Separately, first try to recognize. And then stay like that. Keep it doing little bit. And then when the mind little bit settle down, now you know, you can see the sensation, you can feel the sensation, and then recognize this is the beginning, the middle and end. So like that, follow the entire continuation of the inhalation, exhalation. See the whole breath body. The breath body means one inhalation, exhalation from beginning to end. If you are able to do that way, your mind become more calm and relaxed and settle down with the breathing. So from there, bring little bit more attention and observe little bit deeply, and then you will see some inhalation become longer, shorter, heavy, soft, warm, cold. So like that, each and every inhalation, exhalation difference. So observe that. And then mind little by little, calm down. And then sometimes you feel more relaxed and just don't focus to that. And mind will disturb with different thoughts. Don't go with it. Stay with the sensation. So that is the anchor. So try to, wherever your thoughts go, bring your mind, your thoughts, and stay with the sensation. And that is the harbor. So which we call the nimitta. So when you do it again and again, that is you do, and your workplace, you working with that. You cultivating awareness. You cultivating the observation. So that way we call it kamatahana. So that way, little by little, your mind becomes sharp and clear and settle down with the breathing. And that way your body, your mind, your breathing will settle down slowly. So when it comes to tranquility state, just don't think that just calming down is going to be okay. And calming down not going to bring us anything. Our purpose is getting to a deeper understanding. The people have wrong idea. This calming down is the final. And that's why mostly people get into drugs and different things to calm down the mind. Calming down not going to end this anything. Calming down help us only for that moment to settle down. So, but deeper, we need the clear understanding regarding how things come to be as they are. That's why we go to vipassana level of meditation. So now once the mind calm down, from there, slowly we go to vipassana level. So in the vipassana level, we trying to deeply, thoroughly observe the sensation of the inhalation, exhalation. And according to inhalation, your feelings change. According to the exhalation, then that whatever you felt in when the inhalation happened, it changed when the exhalation happened. So that way, you recognize the change in between the feelings. And then according to that, the recognition also change. Your awareness change moment by moment. Just follow it. Recognize it. And stay with it. Rather than seeing only the change. So I'll give you a deeper little technique to remember yourself. So sometimes we settle down with the change. That means inhalation, you recognize through the sensation and change, and exhalation, change. Inhalation, change. So then the mind get used to it and you settle down there. That is not mean in vipassana. So you have to experience what you experience as change. That is the sharp bottom line. That sometimes everybody know things change. But what you experience as change, that will take you to the depth of the change. That is where you understand. So otherwise, don't try to say, oh, I recognize inhalation, it's change, exhalation, it's change. So don't get used to it. Be sharp and clear moment by moment. And don't bring the past experience and add it to the moment. No, moment by moment, keep the newness, the freshness always. And see the depth of the change and see what you experience as change. Not the surface level of inhalation change or exhalation change. That is where you're going to recognize when I just give a little guideline. That is where you see when one inhalation happens, your entire head to toes, this whole body, what you feel is going to change. Another thing is the one inhalation in the beginning, now you feel it's kind of like a more than one second when the one inhalation. But when you get into the bottom line of that change, you get out of the timeline in the surface level, that what we follow this clock time. You get out of the timeline, and there, when the one inhalation, that the change, and sometimes it become more longer. Why? Because now mind become more sharper and clear, and then maybe one inhalation, it kind of like it take time in the serve. If I convert it to the ordinary clock, and sometimes it kind of like a 5 minute, 3 minutes longer experience you get with the one, but it is just a more than 1 second inhalation. Why it happened? Because we just everything experience in the surface level. And that's why we see this everything move fast. But if you able to go to the bottom, you become slow down, and then whatever happened there, and then you experience it slowly according to that time, deeper level. And sometimes when it come out of the experience, and then you recognize maybe you had the 1 minute of experience, but that 1 minute you cover entire your bodily sensation. So try to understand that how the mind become expand there. So now if you try to scan your whole body, you take like 5 minutes, 10 minutes. But when you get to the depth of the experience, when the change happening, when the inhalation happen, the entire body, the respond to one inhalation, and that whole the body feelings change. And you able to experience that feeling in that moment, you feel that it's kind of like a long time you experience. But when you come out of that experience, it is more than 1 second. So like that, the mind becomes sharper and clear, and go to the bottom. And when you experience the change, not in the surface level, you counting the change. So remember that, don't count the change. This is inhalation, this is exhalation. It's nothing to do with it. Nothing will happen there. But see what you experience as change. And that's why in that level, you don't take any measurements. When you observe that point, you become completely free, empty. You don't use any kind of measurements or the tools or any kind of comparison. Nothing. With the very fresh, clear mind, moment by moment, observe the change and experience, and see not only the change, and see the experiencer also, and release the gap in between this, and then you will see the change itself is you, and that is where you start to recognize the what is the meaning of change. So it takes time. But yourself now you know little bit. So when you practice, always remember, don't just surface level try to count the change, but deeper, little by little, get into the change and experience it. So we'll practice a little bit, and yourself always remember. And if it is possible, because you cannot do it in the beginning, and you no need to imagine about it, if it is possible, be like a mountain, and also be like the sun. Be awake, and your attention, awareness to the highest level. And also be like the water. Keep the newness, freshness always. And also be like the wind, be formless. So with that, we're going to practice a little bit. Your right palm on your left and naked straight in one line. And be comfortable with your posture. Scan head to toes 3 times yourself. And say Supateva, or may I be well and happy 3 times. Take a moment and think. We gathered here in this moment to practice this ancient meditation technique. All the Buddhas, all the enlightened masters followed this path and achieved wisdom. So we also gathered here to accumulate that knowledge. In this moment, with this sitting, may my body become more comfortable. May my breath be more smooth. May no difficulties come to me. May all the success come to me. Also think for a moment. This is the last moment we're spending in this very lifetime. And detach your mind from all your past memories and as well as any kind of future thoughts. Just try to remain in the present moment, observing the sensation of the inhalation, exhalation. So in the beginning, deeply inhale, exhale 3 times. And find the sensation. And bring your attention to the sensation and stay with it. So when the inhalation happen, exhalation happen, just recognize. Let everything to settle down as it is. Don't interfere with anything. Just develop the awareness or the attention. And recognize this is inhalation, this is exhalation. If your mind go here and there, bring it back again and again. Follow the entire continuation of the inhalation, exhalation. Accept the very nature of the inhalation, exhalation. It doesn't matter long or short, heavy or soft. Just accept it, but recognize. If you don't see anything, just wait and observe. Keep your attention to only the change and experience the change with very clear mind and keep the newness always. Bring attention to your body. Observe the posture. We cultivate loving kindness and compassion in our heart and radiate it as a light through your compound, village, city, state, country, world, universe, and as far as we can through galaxies, other planets, stars, reminding ourselves like this. Mentally repeat after me. May all living beings in this universe be well and happy. May everyone be happy and safe, and may their hearts be filled with joy. May all living beings live in security and in peace. Beings who are frail or strong, tall or short, big or small, visible or not visible, near or far away, already born or yet to be born. May all of them dwell in perfect tranquility. Let no one do harm to anyone. Let no one put the life of anyone in danger. Let no one, out of anger or ill will, wish anyone any harm. Expand the loving kindness and compassion, beginning from your heart, forward. Visualize yourself and send it as a light to your backside, to your left side, and to your right side, downward and upward, to all six directions at once, like the moon, the sun. Spread the light, spread the energy without any condition, without any limitation, without any judgment or without any resistance. Let your heart to shine with the loving kindness and compassion from the bottom of it, with the maximum effort to the highest. Wishing yourself, may all living beings in this universe be well and happy. Say sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Dear Dhamma friends, and sometimes you hear this samsara is so long, and sometimes we think we came from this samsara, yearns, we passing this journey, and in the future they are going to be eons. So remember, in conventionally, even though we mention this way, when it comes to vipassana level of understanding, there is no samsara to future. If you able to become very clear with this moment, always your future going to depend on the moment you spend. Because always your future going to be according to your present moment of the mind. So otherwise, if the samsara to the future, why we have to do this all? How we can get out of it? So what you do in this very moment, it is very matter, because according to that, your future going to be longer or shorter. So then other thing is, it doesn't matter how far we came, because if we start to think, oh, I came this much samsaric journey, oh, I have to go like this much, so like that, then we condition ourselves. When we condition ourselves, and that is a very wrong kind of view that we're going to get into life. You have, because your mind is so powerful than you think. And if you 100% become completely clear, without, just imagine, without anything from your past so far, whatever happened, without that any thoughts, any mental formations, any sanskara, if you able to 100% develop the clarity in you in this very moment, that going to change your entire life. So who hold you? Why you cannot change your, from this all? Why we cannot change from our own habits? Who hold you? There is no any power holding you. It is your own mind. Another thing is, and sometimes you no need, you don't want it. So if you don't want, even the entire world changed, you're not going to change. So that's why yourself you have to decide, do you want this or not? And if you don't want, and you have to see why you don't want it, this. Because you have to be fair with the life also. If you don't want, if you don't look for future, if you don't need any existence anymore, why? What is the reason? Because if with the wrong reason, if you try to look for that, then that also not going to happen. So then remember, so whatever happened in the past, or whatever going to happen in the future, don't depend on that, but always remember, keep the clarity in this moment. If it is happen tomorrow, it will happen. But why you spending this moment thinking about tomorrow, or even the sansaric journey? There are some people and say, oh, this sansara is so long. So see, already their mind conditioned for the long journey. Then how about this moment? In the Vipassana level, that's why it's always take a one second you to transform this all. How? You only, the very first thing you have to bring the clarity to yourself. Remember the mind that you have. It's like, I'll give an analogy to understand that. It is like the sun. The thought you carry with all these conventional desires is like a candlelight. So you have the sun, but you don't use it, but you become more comfortable with the candlelight. So it is your choice. Another thing is the consciousness is like the sky, and your thoughts are like the clouds. But the thing is, sometimes you enjoy the clouds thinking it is the sky. Sky is not the cloud. But if you become very limited to the clouds, you don't see the sky. And sometimes look, and the people say, when they look suddenly the sky, and if there are different kind of clouds, and they say, oh, the sky is beautiful. And sometimes I ask, how you see that sky? And suddenly they talk about the cloud. The same thing happened to us also. Sometimes you don't experience your awareness or your consciousness. You just experience your thoughts, and thinking and holding to thoughts, you think it is the mind. No. So to see the mind, you have to let go the thoughts. So in meditation, that is what we do, little by little. But remember yourself, in day-to-day life, you have to have a little bit practice yourself every day, moment by moment. Try to take the thoughts out. Allow, like as example, when you do something, just do it. That doesn't mean you practicing meditation. No, it's a training little by little, because when you sit for meditation, then it becomes helpful. Why? Because the everyday mind, the way you do maintain your mind, going to become your life. Anything, the same thing with the body also. If you every day use your body in a certain way, then it become muscle memory. The naturally body start to get used to it. So the same way with the mind also. So mostly what we does, when we do something, we think something else. So take out that all the unnecessary thoughts. When you do something, be very limited to that. So in the very first thing, remember, always whatever you do, and give your fully attention and take your fully responsibility. And when you take the fully responsibility, you taming the mind yourself without punishing it, you take it as a responsibility. So the very first thing, learn to tame the mind without punishing yourself, without that making more hard yourself, without abusing your mind yourself. Have the compassion. And first, the very first step, little by little, anything, whatever you do, why? If you make a mistake, then things going to become more worse. Even that brushing your teeth. and doing whatever the washing your things and cooking. See, if you make a mistake, what will happen? Then you have to think about it. And thinking like that, you become mindful. So that way it become more easy for you. So then, and that will take you to the next level. So very first thing, start to tame the mind. Don't try to punish or don't try to push so hard. Don't try to abuse yourself, especially when it comes to meditation. Why? Because when people practice meditation mostly, they become kind of like an unnatural people. Why you become unnatural? What's the wrong practicing meditation? What is the wrong with other people or with the other life? Why you becomes kind of like a somebody, kind of like a different person? Look at most of time people when they start to practice meditation, sometimes they don't like this ordinary lifestyle. What's wrong with that? So why we cannot see the very nature of everything? Why we cannot accept anything as it is? When we look for the truth, you have to be truthful. Without becoming truthful, how are you going to look for the truth? So when you go to the very nature, when you look for the nature, that means Dharma, you have to be natural. If you cannot be natural, even you see the nature, you cannot recognize it because you are somebody else. This very basic principle you have to understand. That's why when you come to Dharma, when you practicing the Dharma, and you become more natural person. So in that moment, when you see in the world that anything can happen, then the people different and there are reasons to become different. So you accept it. You don't go with anything and you don't resist. So you don't resist your inside your thoughts. And as you know, in the 5 aggregates, once you release the desire to become, the very next things happening, you release from the resistance yourself, from your mind. Once you release from the mind, when you are not having any resistance or go against anything in your mind, how it is possible? It can happen in the outside world. It's not going to happen. So that's why, so remember yourself. If you look for the nature, be natural. If you want the truth, be truthful to yourself. Then you're going to see it. So that's why in the very beginning, when you sit for meditation, when you practice meditation in day-to-day life, whatever you do, and it's you don't need to make it kind of like, oh, I practice meditation, and you don't need to kind of like put a label on it. No, our whole life is like that. So in day-to-day life, whatever you do consciously, but that doesn't mean it is a meditation. No, that help for your practice. Why you practice? You practice because that is the very nature of the human being, to become conscious. So then you developing yourself, you cultivating yourself. That is it. And why you have to cultivate yourself? Because that is where you're going to be really who you are. And that is where you're going to really settle down yourself, and that make you comfortable. That make you more peaceful. Because when you become somebody else, and if it is not your true nature, it always creates a disease, disconnect. So that's why when you practice meditation, you become healthy. It is not a kind of like a medication. So that is what, because when you become your true nature and you become comfortable and your whole nerve system start to react in a different way. We are the one who practice that. All these animals cannot do it. Why? Because the fear inherent inside them. It doesn't matter whatever the animal. That's why the very best thing that you can do to animal is not feeding. You no need to feed to animal. It is very wrong idea. If you have the cat or the dog or whatever the animal you think that putting cloth and giving food is the best to animal. No, that is not the best. That if you really take care of the animal and if you love the animal, giving food is not the best, because they have their own way to find the food. The very best thing that you can give, take out them from the fear. That's why from the ancient time, the kings, the very best thing that they do to animals, and they release from the death. And when you see that whatever you do in a very special time period, mostly like Independence Day, like some other times, you free the animals. And Independence Day come, when the New Year Day come, you may see, you free the prisoners. So for the animal world, the giving freedom from death is the best gift that you can give, because they are inherent with the fear. So, but ourselves, that if you able to focus your mind little by little with in the day-to-day activities, little by little yourself, and your best is the developing the awareness. And we are the only one can develop that awareness. Maybe that there are some other higher existence, but that's why even to attain to Buddhahood, if there is any other place, why they come here? To all the Arahantans, enlightened masters, if there is another place, why they come here? All the stories in the the eons, all the Buddha's stories, they all come to human world. It doesn't matter whatever the existence. They know any other place going to appear anybody as a Buddha. Maybe the deities or the gods can exist, but no Buddha. The Buddha means that is the highest level of the human intellect. So then you have the same. So then you have to every day try to use that. Don't try to use anything else. It's kind of like then you insulting, you neglecting your intelligence means you insulting it. It's like that is a very dangerous thing. Remember, you neglecting your husband, wife, children, friends and family members is a kind of like that is the very bad way that you insulting them, neglecting me. That's why sometimes that is one of the biggest punishment in that the neglecting. So the same thing happened to us. So then if you neglect the power of the mind or your awareness, your true nature, you insult itself. Don't do that. So that's why the meditation is nothing but you go to your origin, your beginning point. It is your birthright to be mindful, be aware. That's why the Buddha mentioned the one of the most dangerous karma that you can do. It is danger than the killing. Make you ignorance the people and teaching the wrong things. regarding the samsara or the nibbana or the guiding wrong way to their spirituality. That is so that the more powerful than killing bad karma. Why? Because the awareness is the most beautiful thing that people can experience. Each and every person, even though we are different in the skin, age, color, that's according to country, but when it comes to human being, we all have the same ability to experience the ultimate truth. That is the only place you're going to be completely happy. There's no any other place. So then yourself remember, in day-to-day life, when you do certain things, you do it to be happy yourself. But always remember, out of that all the activities, become conscious and becoming mindful, bringing you kind of like the most beautiful experience to yourself. So in the beginning, that's why tame the mind. Don't abuse it. Respect it, keep the respect and appreciate it. And with the calm and relaxed, comfortable mind, you start to do it. Another thing is when you do that and you start to train the mind. So that is where the discipline comes. Training means discipline. You discipline the mind. I don't think that. I don't look that. I don't watch this. I don't eat this. So it is not somebody doing it. It is not a punishment. So today we have a misunderstanding. Sometimes when it comes to the word called discipline, people think it is a punishment. No, the discipline comes out of the training. If you don't train, you don't need to discipline. If you don't want to train, you don't need discipline. But if you want to train, you have to discipline. It's naturally come. And that training, little by little, transform you. Taming, training, transforming. And then little by little, it brings the result and you see the difference and you get into the path. And that is then the transcend. So that is what, this is how this happened, moment by moment, moment by moment. But yourself remember, the very first thing, you are like the sun, so don't live with the candlelight. Another thing is, don't get lost with the clouds. If you can see the sky, start to see the sky. And that is where you see, even though we are with this, everything, and you and me, everybody knows this is for a moment. But we need for the moment. But that doesn't mean don't holding this and get into tomorrow is, no, it is not the way. So then it is not it doesn't matter how far you came or how far you go, don't focus to that. Focus to the moment, in this very moment. Try to get into the best level of your awareness each and every day. No matter whatever happened, don't get disturbed out of your past. Don't get disturbed out of whatever regarding the future. Always remember that we perform your highest level of awareness in the moment. So then how are we going to plan about that? When you able to focus and when you able to be in the moment very clearly, you're going to see the future. Thinking about future and seeing the future, two different things. So as example, the enlightened masters like the Buddha, even 3 months before, I'm told I'm going to pass away. And this, that, like that. There are a lot of monks, there are a lot of teachers. And then when they're ready to pass away, maybe within 3 months, 4 months, and within 1 month, then they tell, don't do this, Don't start this and I'm going to end this like that way. Now you have to take this, so you take this responsibility like that they tell. They see the past, the future, but not thinking about it. So that's why you're going to see what happened tomorrow if you able to really become mindful and be clear with the moment. And so that way, it's nothing going to miss. But only thing is, give your best, and always whatever you do, and you perform your best with the moment and without abusing the mind. That is the most important thing. Remember, that's why it tell, don't take drugs, don't take alcohol, don't smoke, so like that. So because once you abuse the mind, it's very difficult to bring back, not only mind, that everything. Once something go wrong, it is very difficult to bring back. So that's why the most beautiful thing that you have is your mind, your life. So keep it fresh, keep it new. And that newness every day, try to keep going. No matter what happens, don't get disturbed about it. Keep that newness. You can do that. You can do it. You can rebuild it again and again. So with that way, you will see how you can change the whatever if something going to happen in the future, then when you become very clear with the moment, you're going to see. So with that, I'm going to tell you a story coming from this samurai. And there was a samurai leader called Nobunaga. So the Nobunaga was a very famous warrior in samurai history. And mostly when they hear the name of the Nobunaga, they know the secret what they had, because Nobunaga had the coin. He had the coin. And so I tell you the story. So there was a final battle. Nobunaga had only 10, with him only 10 soldiers. And in the other side, there was 100, there were 100 soldiers, samurais. And Nobunaga knew that. But Nobunaga knew this 10 people more skillful than that 100 opponents. So, but it is very difficult to explain that they have 100. So then on the way to battlefield, there was a Shinto temple. And the Nobunaga told, we don't know what's going to happen. So let me first go and worship the temple. And then I will come and will toss the coin. If we get the head, we're going to win the battle. So then there's all other 9 soldiers, samurais, all young. And they were waiting in front of the temple. And Nobunaga went to the temple and started to pray. And after he finished, he came and tossed the coin. And then in front of everybody, he got the head. And then they went to the battle and they won the battle. 100 people, just imagine, 10 samurai fight with 100 samurais. And they won the battle. And they came back. And that is the last battle that the Nobunaga went. And then there was in that 9 students, his followers, the youngest one, he was the kind of like the less experienced, but he whatever that he was the favorite for everybody, because he used to do everything for everyone. Whatever others tell, he used to help for everybody. So then when the final battle finished, the Nobunaga came, and then that day, end of the evening, then everybody happy, and this a student make dinner soup and gave to Nobunaga. And then Nobunaga told, so I'm going to give my secret to you and keep this. And don't tell to anybody. That is the, don't tell to anybody, just keep it with you. And so then he placed the coin. And the both side, head, no tail. And then Nobunaga told, remember, in this battle of life, you don't see the tail. You always see the head, and you always place the head, and you always cut the head. So that's a samurai saying. It is a very powerful. And to digest yourself sometimes, you have to think about it. But always remember, especially for this young generation, when you parenting, for your children, and you always have to tell them. And I always, when I go to schools and when I hold the session for children, and I see, and they are not like previous children. Now they are more different. And they don't see the strength and the courage with the life mostly. They always look for the help or something. But always remember, in battle of life, you don't place for the tail. You don't go for the tail. You always go for the head. Even in the meditation, that's why we always place for the highest. So that is vipassana. There's nothing else. We don't go with the tail. So always remember that yourself. And with that, I bless upon everyone with this good practice. May all of you be well, happy and peaceful. May no harm come to you. May no difficulties come to you. May no problems come to you. May you also have the patience, courage, understanding and determination to meet and overcome inevitable difficulties in your life. During this time period, may everyone stay healthy and safe. And finally, may all of you attain supreme bliss of Nibbana. Sabbityo vajjantu sabbarogo vinasatu mate bhavatantarayo sukhi dīghāyuko bhava. Ittavata cammehi sampadam punya sampadam sabbe deva numodantu sabba sampatti siddhya. Sabbe bhuta numodantu sabba sampatti siddhya. Sabbe satta numodantu sabba sampatti siddhya. Idamme punya kammang asavakkayavang otu sabba dukkha pancatu. Bless you.